Hi, everybody. I'm Olivia F. Scott, Associate Professor of Advertising at Loyola University, New Orleans, founder of Emerge Alliance's marketing consultancy, and the host of Behind the Ad, where we peel the layers of the media, advertising, and marketing onion back to demystify the industry. You know, there's a major topic of contention that I feel like I deal with every single day. What is the difference between advertising, PR, and marketing? So today, I am thrilled, really thrilled, to be in conversation with an award-winning PR professional to set the record straight. Today, we have a prestigious and accomplished alum of our mighty Loyola University, New Orleans, in this program of mass communications. Mr. John Deveney is his name. He started a full-service marketing agency, Deveney, in 1996 and has continuously made his mark in the PR industry. He's a widely regarded national leader known for some of the industry's best campaigns, results, and counsel in strategic marketing and communication. John is the only, and I do mean the only, PR professional to ever merit the Lifetime Achievement Recognition from the PR News Hall of Fame, PRSA College of Fellows, and the IABC Fellows. When John served as first responder and chief communication officer during both Hurricane Katrina and Rita, he and his firm, Deveney, managed over $400 million worth of media scrutiny in warlike conditions for the tourism industry. This critical work earned him his 12th IABC Gold Quill, and he was named Agency Executive of the Year by PR News in 2006. He was also named one of the 4 brightest stars and ambassadors that are heroes by PR Week. In 2010, John created the strategy and led the team that manages the State Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism's response to the BP oil spill. That effort reshaped public perception and preserved Louisiana's $9.4 billion tourism industry. I hope that that gives you a sense of why I am so honored, humbled, and delighted to have our guest, John Deveney, with us today. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here with you today to really go into this topic. Thank you. So can we just start by setting the record straight?
All right.
In your opinion and in your number of years of experience, can you tell us what is the difference between PR, advertising, and marketing?
You know, a dear friend, Rosanna Fisk, who's a leader with PRSA, she was a past chair, led the industry in redefining what public relations is.
Okay.
And so that definition would be a good thing to go to, but I'm not going to go to that. I'm going to tell you something that, from my perspective, the real practical difference, because you're not looking for definitions, you're looking for differentiators.
Yes.
So the way I see it, the difference between public relations and advertising or marketing is public relations is where you work to manage the uncontrollable. With advertising and marketing, in both of those disciplines, you work with that which is controllable. So these 3 disciplines may all want to get the same message out. Advertising can decide the size of the font, what the font is, what page of the newspaper it's going to appear on, above the fold, below the fold, black and white color.
Right.
They have complete control. Marketing as well, website, any other medium. Public relations handles the uncontrolled medium. So we would work in getting that message out in public opinion. We would want tastemakers and opinion leaders to carry that message. We would want it to be demonstrated in ways. So things that you can't control, public opinion, those sort of things, that's where public relations really works. And that's how to differentiate, I think. If what you're trying to work with is something you don't have control over, it's probably public relations that you need.
Okay, so tell us this. What do you actually do as a PR practitioner? And I ask you this, think from the lens of students who may be watching this video who are like, I want to work in PR, but they don't really know what they'd have to do every single day. And also for business owners who need to hire a PR person. What is it that you do every single day?
If I'm doing my job right,
Okay.
then
Start with that.
then what I'm doing is I'm listening and I'm reading and I'm observing, I'm learning. So frequently with a client, what they say they want to hire you to do is not what they want.
Correct.
Sometimes it's easy to spot. Sometimes it's just nomenclature. They don't know the right term. They say, I want you to do a PSA, but really what they want is video content.
Right.
But sometimes it's not so obvious. Sometimes you have to listen and be a counselor, probe. The reading and the observing part is because things are changing so much. The industries are changing. Advertising has gone through such rapid change.
Yes, with social media. It's changed.
Public relations. The world has gone through such rapid change. That was true before COVID, but now even more so. That you really have to listen, you have to observe, you have to read to make sure that you're understanding not just what's available to you, but where things are going, how people are feeling. Just the simple, just simple things like public service announcements, since I mentioned that just now. They aren't being managed by stations the way they were before COVID. They don't have the staffing for it anymore. So before, they had teams that would produce the PSA. It was important that they could have some ownership in it if you wanted more airtime. It's not the case anymore. So if you're not paying attention, things change rapidly around here, said Alice. So I think that's even more true for us today.
Thank you so much. So talk to me about, technically, every single day, are you writing press releases? Are you contacting media outlets? Are you going to lunches and brunches with journalists? For students who are like, I want to be a PR practitioner because it seems like it's so cool. What are you actually doing? What's the function day to day?
There's a great deal of writing.
Okay.
So writing is a core component to it.
Okay.
And a variety of writing. So it could be you're writing a speech, or you could be writing content for an owned medium that they have that they need. So writing is absolutely crucial.
So I want to pause there for a second. Owned mediums, for those who don't know, an owned medium is a platform that the brand has full control over. So it could be your website, it could be your email, it could be a blog, it could be your packaging, it could be your social media channel. So those are things the brand actually owns. So you're telling me that PR practitioners, you guys actually participate in writing some of the content we see in those owned interfaces.
Now, the client or the organization might have a whole web team, but if there's a PR initiative that's happening, it could be something sensitive like layoffs, or it could be, if there's a PR initiative, then more likely we're going to create the content that would go on owned media, that would go on the shared media. Definitely we would write it for earned media as well.
Okay.
And then we would probably provide it for paid as well. So across the board.
Can you break down what earned media means? And I ask you that because my students, when we break down paid, owned, and earned is the one that they really have a hard time getting their heads around what it actually is.
So earned media is when the author, the spokesperson, is a news media outlet. Okay. So if this statement is coming from or being reported by a newspaper, news radio, broadcast television, influencer, then it's earned. There's gray areas. So I own my social media channels. So are they owned or are they shared? LinkedIn, is that shared or owned? Is an influencer, are you working with earned media, or is it shared media?
Right.
So there definitely are ways or places where these things overlap.
Yep.
And I'm such a nerd. I love to dive into that sort of thing. But
no, I want to go.
And that certainly has happened before even the advent of social media. Advertorials, which are still a real vibrant resource and tactic available. It's designed to look like earned media, but it's not. It's paid.
So I want to interject. giving a shout out to Dr. Kathy Rogers, who has been at Loyola for over 30 years and is incredible leading the PR department, our chair. She recently introduced me to the paid, owned, earned, shared model. I've been teaching paid, owned, and earned for a really long time, and she presented to me that in the PR industry, you guys are shifting to this shared aspect. Do you mind just breaking down your understanding of the S, what the shared means?
So, shared media, the peso is the way I remember it. Paid,
Yep.
earned, shared, owned. You defined owned earlier. We just defined
Earned.
earned. Paid is advertising, where you're paying and you have complete control.
Correct.
Shared is really that media that we call social media, where there is a community involved.
Okay.
So it is an online shared media online community. Every voice is an author or can be an author. So shared media is close to synonymous with social media.
Got it. Got it. Okay, very well. So when people contact you to consult and to do their PR, what do you find they're often really looking for?
They want results. They want bottom line results.
Sales lift or?
Depends on the organization. Could be sales lift. Could be that they want to be, they want to have more members, more donors. Could be more sales. But bottom line, so whatever the bottom line of that organization or that individual might be, is they want, and sometimes it is a change that they want. Sometimes that change is an opportunity, something they haven't done before. Sometimes it's something they see a competitor doing, and they're getting their lunch eaten and they don't know what to do next.
Okay.
But it's a change.
So you mentioned writing earlier, but I'd like for you to share with us what are 3 essential skills that are needed for a PR professional?
I think the 3 most important skills, and this really goes back to what I learned and what I was taught in these very halls. The first is critical thinking. And the Jesuits nearly invented that whole process, but critical thinking is absolutely crucial. In public relations, people are often mistaken to think that we represent the organization that's paying us. That's true if it were a legal engagement. An attorney represents their client and advocates in their client's best interest exclusively. Public relations, for the person that's paying us, we also represent everyone else.
Okay.
So we have to look at what the public good is or what public opinion is and bring that back to them. And that takes critical thinking. Really looking at not just how things are, but critical thinking, how does this group of people perceive this? Given their background, given their situation, how will they react or accept this sort of change or this sort of development? And so critical thinking is really crucial. And it means questioning if the client is in the right.
Yep.
Questioning if it could be that what they want to do makes perfect business sense for them. But if it's not the right thing for the community, they need to know about it. They need to factor that in.
Got it. And you have to be courageous enough to actually tell your client this isn't the right move.
Right. Critical thinking's part of it.
Okay.
Good counsel. You have to give good counsel. And that's not just a good answer to the question. It's not a good tactic or not a good strategy. It's good counsel. And I'm choosing that word because you really have to look at the whole person. I could write a speech for an individual, but maybe what they need is more connection with the audience, not just a great phrase. Look at the whole person. Where do they want to be? What do they want to accomplish? Look at the audience. Look at the whole person in that group as well. Where are they coming from? What is it that they're laboring with right now? Good counsel is not just telling them what they could do, but making sure that you're letting them know this is what you can do, this is what you should do if this is the sort of outcome if this is the type of leader you want to be, if this is the type of leader you want your brand to be, then these are the actions you should take.
And given your success, how difficult has that been? I know we have one more. Those are two. But I want to lean into that. I know that you represented Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita, those budgets around media. How difficult was that to do during that time for the tourism departments?
I had a really great client.
Okay.
And so that wasn't difficult.
Okay.
Not that we didn't have routes. I remember one of the messaging points, or this was with BP.
Okay.
So same client. One of our messaging points was letting how people could help in the recovery, and the client didn't like that. Didn't want it to sound like we had our hand out, that we were looking for help, that people needed to know that we were, just like with Katrina, in both situations, the nation and the world needed to see that we were standing up on our own, dusting ourselves off, and getting about our work.
Right. You had a direction. You were in control of the situation.
Yeah, we were handling it, not that we were dependent and asking for handouts.
Correct.
And that's where the client's pushback came from. But what I explained was, in those situations, we look at not just other crises case studies, but we look at what's happening right now around the world, within our country, to see what we can anticipate. And I said, that's what led us to say that one of your messages has to be how people can help. Look at any natural disaster that had happened in the 2 years prior. And the question always came up in the interview, how can people help? What can people do? And the reason why is because as people, we want to help. We want to, when we hear about a tragedy, when we hear about someone in need, we want to help them. So it wasn't a handout. I said, it would be irresponsible for us to send a spokesperson out on the situation and not have them prepared to answer that question. With BP, we looked at, there were terrible floods in the Nashville area. And it happened in the first part of the BP oil spill, but I studied that to see what had happened. And one of the things that I saw was that community felt abandoned, that there was all this media attention for the first few days and then nothing. And media attention is what creates public awareness, public attention, and public awareness and public attention creates priority, and priority creates funding. So Nashville knew that no one's talking about us, no one knows what's going on, so no one really makes this a priority to help. So part of our strategy with BP was, how do we gauge when media attention is dropping off, and what do we do? So we had elements of our campaign strategy to address that.
Okay.
So sometimes the pushback is easier or harder. We wanted to, I remember with the BP oil spill, the world had seen Voldemort pouring into the Gulf, the video underwater of the oil spilling out, and for so long that it was hard not to have the impression that the entire Gulf of Mexico was polluted beyond repair. So we engaged scientists and oceanographers, people that would know, and asked them to put in perspective how much was the spill. And also reports on the volume spilt had been given by the government and by the corporation, and they were in doubt. So we wanted something really good and wanted to translate it into a wow fact, and worked with them. Well, and we came up with one. Yeah. And it was a great one. It was one that I knew the media would carry, and it put it in perspective. And I let the client know that we had it, because I had said that was part of our strategy, and that I was recommending that we never use it. And maybe I sold it wrong, but they were unhappy about that. They said, you have it. It was done.
Yeah.
And it was wow fact, the comparison was if you spilt 3 cans of beer over in the Superdome, that was the relative to the volume of the Gulf of Mexico. So powerful, people could relate to it.
Yes, they could.
But I
Beer in the
felt that it
Superdome.
was, and it was successful in that we wanted to say, as terrible as it is,
This is the equivalent.
it puts it in context of
Yeah.
perspective. But I just, great wow fact, powerful. I knew the media would pick it up, but I felt lives were lost, livelihoods were lost or thought they would be, and that would have been disrespectful to to those people that were suffering at the time. And so I said we should not use it. It's exactly what I wanted, and I would counsel strongly that we never ever used it, and we never did.
So is it fair to say the 3 essential skills are strong writing skills, critical thinking, and the ability to provide wise counsel and be clear about it, unwavering? Or is there anything else?
Will you give me 4 then?
I'll go right ahead. 4. 4 is my favorite number, so that works.
writing is crucial, but it almost seems like that's a given.
A given.
So I would say the 4th is to make sure that you are a lifelong learner. That is absolutely critical.
Okay.
The world's changing too quickly, so you need to know that for the world that you're speaking to. Also, technology. Technology gives us so much power, so much ability, so much influence, which is a positive thing. And the challenge, I think, of being a lifelong learner is not just keeping up with technology, but push it further. What more could be done with these tools? Because practitioners and people thinking that way is what drives innovation and technology. Technology is not my strength, but I love seeing its application. I love using it and seeing what it can do. And I think being a lifelong learner means questioning and challenging what more could it do. And being a lifelong learner also will bring you back to listen, watch, observe. That's what's so important. It's why we have two ears and only one mouth.